What's up, everybody? Live here today with Jay Kinder. Very happy to have you on, my friend. How are you today?
Dude, couldn't be doing better, man. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you coming on. I mean,
man.
It's cool. You know, I've said it before, you know, when I was talking to Albie and I've talked to Wally Bressler, and I just don't see any other company having accessibility to people that are higher up in the company like this. I mean, you know, I remember first seeing you on stage at Build 2021.
Yeah.
I had no idea who you were, you know, and I was just like, what are these people all about? Like, here's this room of like 5,000 people, just like the media stuff that Brent Gove had set up. And I was like, just beyond impressed. Like, we had already come over to EXP, obviously, and had some success and follow the McCarthys to Texas.
Yeah.
And for like this crazy thing, I'd never, you know, gone to a big convention or any kind of event before. And I mean, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
It still does. It still blows my mind every time I go to one of these things. I'm like,
I know.
What is happening here?
Yeah.
You know,
it's an incredible energy. You know, when you get out of it's hard, right? Like, you got to leave, you got to deal with leaving family sometimes, leaving kids at home, and you know, traveling across the country. It's not inexpensive to get to events. But when you get there and you're kind of out of that daily grind of, you know, doing it, you know, you're able to really think about the future and what you're trying to do and really try to get clear on the problem. And I was like, you know, we used to join, we'd been a part of, you know, events have been like such a big part of my entire journey because I've gone to so many, and I always took something away, came back, had a little success with it. And so it always kept me going to events, and it's really the relationships and the people you meet and you know, the generally the people that, you know, that can change your life are usually at these events. And so, you know, you get an opportunity to, you know, to, I think, get a little bit of clarity on what problem you need to solve to get to the next level. That's half of the value of like being a part of a mastermind or going to events. And then, you know, going in with intention of not just being, you know, sitting there in the back of the room, but actually really listening in on, you know, what the topic, you know, is being spoken on, and take some action away from those events. Otherwise it can be overwhelming. But yeah, it's been crazy. That was an amazing event. I'm glad you made it to it. You know, probably, you know, the McCarthys probably had to talk you into that, I'm sure. If you had
you know, I've said it before, like, Steve had his work cut out for him when he met me. You know, so from my background, I came from security management, right? So I was like director of security for a mall, and I was like regional director over like trainings and stuff. So like real stringent, right? I have a degree in law enforcement. That was like the attitude I came into real estate with.
Right.
And, when I met Steve, it was just hilarious because he's, you know, he's such a cartoon character. And like, he's so unapologetically him, right?
Right.
And I had the exact opposite mindset, you know, but I'd been failing for a few years, and I've been watching all of his live content, you know, and I was like, oh man, this guy's like got something different going on, right? It wasn't even really EXP that attracted me to EXP.
Right.
It was Steve McCarthy, straight up.
Yeah, that's actually generally how people come to join EXP. You know, nobody wakes up. You know, not nobody, but not that many people wake up and they're just frustrated with their brokers and they're looking for a change. It does happen. But you know, you're looking for something. You know, there's always, you know, where you're at and where you're trying to get to, and usually it's a connection with somebody that you see that's having success that kind of opens the gate of the mind to, okay, well, maybe there's a better way that I just don't know about.
Yeah. And so I don't know, man. I came over to EXP and we had a listing, right? And it was just sitting on the market, just like bad pictures, not, knowing what I was doing,
right?
that type of thing. And so I called the McCarthys and they came over and did a whole Matterport thing that was like popular at the time. And the pictures were better. And then he was like, "You ready to go live and talk about this thing?" I was like, "Heck no. No, not Matt Moreno, not today. This isn't happening. Go live on what? We're live right now. Just me and you, in the yard." And he was like, "I don't care." And he just went live and he was like, "Hey, Facebook, this is Steve McCarthy live with Matt Moreno's new listing. Here's Matt." And started talking. I was like, "What did he just do?" I thought he'd take a career, and I mean, like everybody was going to care and all this.
Right.
Then I, in short order, realized that nobody cares.
Right.
And it ended up getting us business, and like we got a couple buyers from the live, and I was like, "Oh wow, that really helped out." And that was like, I'm going to do every single thing that Steve McCarthy tells me to do, and that's what I did.
Well, the thing about that is you're coachable, right? So you come in having one mindset, and that belief doesn't change, until you have an experience, and then then the belief can change, right? And so kudos to you for being coachable, even though he kind of forced you into it. That's commendable, right? Like, being willing to change and say, okay, it's like my kids, they had this fundraiser drive going on, and both of my kids they're in different classes, but they're in the same elementary. And they're little Amway. They send them home selling stuff all the time. But they had this drive they were doing. And Dude Perfect was they were giving away some free prizes and stuff. The class that got the most donations was going to get to basically wrap up one of their teachers like a mummy with duct tape. This is today, actually. So yesterday, I was videoing them, trying to get them to video like their thank you for the people that made donations.
Right.
And the minute you hit record, I mean, they freeze up, man. Like they don't know what to do. Like it reminds me of the very first time I tried to get on video. You know what I'm saying? Like it's definitely not. It's kind of like speaking in public. You fear it until you kind of just embrace it. Hey, I'm just being me. I'm talking to one person here. It's not
exactly
nobody's judging it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, not yet.
It's not going to get a grade. But yeah, my kids froze up, man. They froze up. And they're like, "I don't know what to say. Start over." I was like,
start over.
I was like, just pretend like the camera's not on. That's all you got to do. Just say thanks. Tell them from your heart. That's all you do.
That's it.
Yeah.
So once we got over here and we started, doing this stuff, because we came over hungry, man.
Right.
Like I had to take a job at this dive bar and grill in the middle of Linda, California, which if anybody knows where that is, I wasn't happy to work there. Jimmy,
right.
Is what I said.
You were trying to move away from that.
Yeah. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I was so coachable at first too.
Yep.
Because like I reached out to Steve. He didn't reach out to me.
Right.
I said it was like 2:30 in the morning, I think, over Facebook Messenger. My wife and I were, she was in the service industry too. So that's like when you wait tables and you work at bars and grills and stuff, your decompression time is generally when patrons are done.
Right. Yeah.
Consuming in public. Right. So we were kicking back, and I'd been talking to her, and I was like, dude, this real estate thing has to work out. Has to.
Right.
I'm going to contact Steve McCarthy. And he had talked to a lender buddy of mine who said, you should probably call Steve because he's got a better opportunity than what you're being offered.
Right.
And so I reached out to him over Messenger. I was like, we need to have a meeting tomorrow. And he was like, what's this all about? I was like, I need to meet with you. And he's like, okay. And so then we went and met with him, and I'd already made up our mind, that we're going to try this out because
it wasn't working.
There was no other opportunity for me. It was this or, go back to working for somebody else's success story.
Right.
And that's not really my jam. You know, I hate working for other people.
Right.
It's not fun.
No.
You know, so I borrowed like $1,400 from my dad and we joined EXP.
Right on.
And then, you know, like in very short order, sales started to come in, and it wasn't like they just started trickling in, Jay. Like we were doing stuff and we were told, okay, this is the Facebook Messenger message that you send out individually to everybody. If you or somebody you knew were looking to buy or sell real estate in the next 90 days, would you give them my information? And all of a sudden people were like, you know, you get a lot of no's because nobody knows who you are. Right. And they're like, why would I recommend you to somebody? And then all of a sudden, bam, you get a hit. Well, I am thinking about selling a house.
Right.
Well, I am thinking about buying a house.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah. I can get behind doing this activity, you know, for a short amount of time a day to be able to see results.
Shake the trees.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You know, and then I was like, I wonder what would happen if because I'd been going on YouTube and I got pretty good at open houses.
Right.
But I wasn't like Brent Gove at open houses.
You know?
I was just pretty good. And I've always been really good at like information collection. Right. Because coming from my background, that's what I do. Right. And so I just like mind meld people into filling out my guest registry book. And I started like building up my database. And I was like, okay, now I've got 500 people in this KV core, which is amazing. And I was sitting there figuring out how to use it. I was like, what if I started scripting out on people on the phone?
Right.
And so I asked Steve, I was like, where can I get these? And he's like, go on the Honey Badger network under files and like every single thing from NAEA. And then he got me hooked up to the NAEA stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. All this training going in the world. And there's like, at the time it was something like 60 hours a week. I think it's more now.
Right.
Of just training. Just here you go. What do you want to know?
Right.
Here's the information.
There's no shortage of access to training here.
No. And you don't have to pay extra.
Yeah.
It's just provided.
Yeah.
If you know who to ask and where to look.
Right.
And you can get out from in between here and actually do it.
Yeah.
You know, and so and Janelle too, my wife, Janelle, we just started hitting the training hard, you know, especially like when the pandemic hit and real estate was not essential. I was like, dang it. Right. We'd just come over. And then like I don't know, probably 3 days later, California was like, whoa, we need to sell that real estate to keep that economy going.
Right.
And I was like, let's go get our COVID on. I'm done. Like, we're gonna succeed, or you know, there's no other option.
Yeah.
And man, I look back over, you know, since 2019, and it's just like been this like blur of like almost tornadic activity in my business, right? And I, you know, sold a bunch of homes. I've become a certified mentor.
Wrote 2 books.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah. Like what? You know, never once did I think that would happen. But it's amazing the power of getting out of your own way, Jay.
Yeah.
Like what it does for you. And then, you know, just every business goes like this, right? And it's not like this race to the top. I'm sure that you didn't get to where you're at just overnight.
No, lots of roadblocks, lots of wrong turns.
Yeah. 08, for instance.
Oh yeah, big time.
Right.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about where you came from, brother.
Yeah, man. So I always start by, you know, telling everybody I graduated in the top 25 of my class, but I usually don't tell them there was only 36 of us. So yeah, small town guy, Oklahoma, from a little town called Walters, Oklahoma. Nobody will know where that's at. Probably won't even know where Lawton, Oklahoma is, which is where I built my business. It was a town of about 100,000. And yeah, man, I got out of high school. My dad had just bought a Coldwell Banker franchise.
Yeah.
I grew up around real estate, but he was doing mostly property management. So I didn't really have any idea what real estate sales or anything really was. Wasn't really around that part of it. But then I saw a guy get a check. I was mowing yards for the rental department, my dad's rental management company. And I was coming in to get my $400 check. And, guy was in there getting the check for like $5,000.
Yeah.
I was like, what did he do today? It didn't look like he did much at all. And so I'd never seen him do anything. So like every time I'd ever seen him, he wasn't doing anything. So I was like, what does this guy do to make $5,000? And we sold this house over on such and such. I said, tell me more about this real estate thing. So, this, my head scratching, 19 years old, like mow yards, do basically nothing and make $5,000. And so obviously it was way harder than that. I got licensed and like anybody else didn't have a clue what to do next, even though my dad, owned the franchise. He wasn't really in sales and didn't, never really sold that much real estate himself. But, he kind of plugged me into, all the different things that, training, or if there was somebody coming to town, or if the MLS board was doing something. And so I started, attending all of those things, trying everything I could find. And, eventually, it's every once in a while something would work, and it would give me some hope that, okay, I just got to do that again, Yeah. And, after a while I started having some success. I think my third year I ended up, really picking, and I did open houses every Sunday. I mean, every Sunday for, I can't remember how many years. So I met a lot of people, got a lot of transactions off of that. Just people are like, I see you every Sunday. I'm like, hey, it's good to see you guys again. Still looking, eventually, some people felt sorry for me and bought something, I guess. But, just continue that quest of learning, right? Like, I think that's, the recipe for change is, having an awareness, which, you either having your back against the wall, like you had, which you had an awareness that it couldn't get any worse, right? It could only get better. There's got to be a better way, right?
Yeah.
And then, then it's, you have to have the desire to want to do it, right? Like you gotta have that desire, and then seeking, right? And that's where most people fall off, is they don't have enough desire to really go seeking the solution, and you're looking for it, man. You're uncovering it. And that was your background, like you said, gathering information, right? And so, a lot of people just stop at that, or if they're seeking and they don't like what they hear, they're not willing to receive it. That's another one. And so, like, there's a recipe for changing anything you want to change in your life. And, it starts with awareness, desire, seek, asking questions, receive the answer, then take immediate action, right? Like if you don't take action, nothing's going to ever happen that's going to change. And then it's persist, and then ultimately having some accountability to it is the best process for changing anything. But for me, I had that little bit of taste of success, and so I just continued to seek and seek and seek, and I kept getting into rooms, and I'd find people that were doing way better and way better and way better, and it's just like blows my mind. Just like when you said at that event, I had a similar experience where I went to an event. I was probably 19, 20 years old. And a guy that was sitting next to me had been the whole event, like 2 people down from me, gets up on the mic, and he was selling 400 homes a year. And I was like, the hell is going on over here? Like, that's not the number I even thought was ever possible, right? And and I'm like, well, if he can do it, then I can probably do it too, I guess, right? And so you start seeing, that what's possible, and you realize, if you do get out of your own way, and you just be a really good listener and really try to understand, what the people that are trying to help you are telling you to do, and it's being coachable. And it's, a lot of people make the mistake. Early on, I had a coach. And when I got this coach, by the way, this is a funny story. At that same event that was expensive, it was in Canada. I'd never been to Canada before. It was out of my element to go. I was blown away. And at the end, they were selling coaching, and it was $12,000 for the coaching. And I remember looking at the guy next to me and saying, $12,000? Are you out of your mind? Like, there's no way. Before
That's a small sum of money.
Before they were done with the pitch, I was in the back of the room, saying, with mine filled out, ready to go. I gave him 2 credit cards because I didn't have enough room on either one of them for the down payment. And I said, if the payment doesn't go through on this one, you're just going to have to try that one. I guess I'm an easy sell, so to speak, but that coaching program really helped me. But one day I was calling my leads, and And I told my coach, his name is Frank DeMarinis. I said, man, these leads are no good, which every real estate. So he said, you're not using the script. I said, yes, I am. He said, record your calls. And this was so long ago, they had like this little thing you could hook up to your phone and record them. And it was a tape deck too, actually, literally a tape deck. So that's how old I am. But, and so I recorded him and we listened to it. And I was like, see, I told you I followed the script. He said, listen to it again. So we listened to it again, and I changed it up a little bit, just kind of made it my own, Right. And he said, you didn't follow the damn script. I said, okay. He said, this week, follow the script and let's see what happens. And then I set like 5 appointments that week, and I was blown away. I was like, dang, man. Like I almost wrote off this whole thing as not working for me because I'm too stupid to follow the directions. You know what I'm saying? Which if I'm putting together a piece of IKEA furniture, I do that shit too. So it's not, it's not the only place that I tend to skip reading the directions, but it was a lesson for me that, man, it's probably not the thing. If the thing has gotten results for other people, it's probably not the thing. It's probably me. And so I think I became a better student after that. And just realize that, hey, man, when people are telling you that something works and there's evidence all around you that it's working, that it probably works. And so it's probably something you're doing if it's not working for you. And so that was a real big lesson for me early on that allowed me to really break through, some really pretty crazy barriers at the time where, people weren't selling in 2005, 2006, weren't selling 500 homes a year. That was pretty unheard of at the time, but it's not so much anymore. People are doing bigger, much bigger than that. But it was, I think there was a belief there that I could do it. Didn't know anything about what I didn't know and all the things I had to learn and really who I had to become in order to do that. Right. That part I didn't understand at the time. But and there is, you're right. It was, it felt like, it was kind of a journey like this, but it really wasn't. It plateaued and you would hit a wall and then there would be something you'd have to learn that you didn't know. Yeah. Right. And for me, it happened a few different times, and then a market shift and a whole lot of things I'd never seen before. And so like those are the times that are really what creates your character. Like now, like you can either crawl back into the corner and close your eyes or stick your head in the sand, or you could be like, all right, what do I got to learn? Who do I need to be listening to? Who's having success now? What's changed? What are they changing about the conversations they're having with people? What do I need to change about what I talked about in my presentation? That all of those types of things, can be learned. And, when you encounter that, some people choose to is head in the sand and other people come out swinging. And if you've had an experience like you've had, I ain't going backwards. I'm gonna figure it out. Is a mindset that that gets developed through that period of time. And the good thing about going through it, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And it was like 07, 08 was absolutely an ass whooping. It was the worst possible experience for me. I literally had nothing but success up to that point and went back to zero basically. And so it was painful. But after that, my resilience and what I was willing to endure was completely different. Like I was like, this is nothing. Like whatever the challenge was nothing compared to that. Like coming out of that, I would look, it's like you look behind you, like that whole thing was on fire. And like, I just came through that.
Yeah.
Whatever the next problem is going to be a lot easier. And that, that's for that reason, I would never trade those tough times.
Right.
Because, lessons bought are lessons taught. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, they're pain experiences that they're like part of your life.
Right.
I always think back to very hard times in life. And I'm like, I wouldn't trade those in for the world. Like I had to have them to become the dude I am today.
Exactly.
I mean, Matt
there's so many lessons in those times, that serve you for a lifetime,
Right.
And go ahead.
I liked when you said the leads suck, right?
Right.
Like I remember, and there was a time I was paying Zillow. I don't pay them anymore.
Right.
But
no need to.
But there was a time I'm on the phone with the Zillow rep, and I was like, man, these leads suck. And he's like, they don't. All the leads are the same. Across the board, no matter where you get them. You suck at on your delivery. And I was like, okay. Hung up on him.
Right.
Not going to pay him another cent.
Right. Right.
But it kind of like hit home, and I was like, and was the little Zillow guy right?
Right.
You know, like
What if I could be better?
like what if this guy's whole job is just scripting out on people that say that the leads suck?
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, maybe that little Zillow man was onto something.
Right.
And yeah, once you figure out how to speak to people on the phone, how to speak to them in person, how to speak to them on these things, you know, like all of a sudden, yeah, leads don't suck. Leads are all the same.
Right.
People are going to want to buy or they're not going to want to buy. People are going to want to sell or they're not going to want to sell. The name of the game is figuring out who is at what stage of the transaction.
Right.
That's simple.
Yep.
And then, you know, listen
none of that-
to
none
for
of
a
that-
little while and build out yourself a funnel. And, you know,
But now, by the way, Matt, none of that is on the real estate test either. Right?
No, it's not. You know, nothing has been. And I keep hearing that, you know, experiences I have are like a once in a career experience. I'm like, that's fantastic. I've heard that like 6 times this year. You know, obviously I just attract these weird deals. We had this one, and this was when I first started. It was out in a little town called Robbins here in California. It's like middle of nowhere, right?
Right.
And it was a lead I'd gotten, like one of those courtesy leads from realtor.com.
Right.
And I was like, okay, cool. Like some business just came my way, right? This guy wanted to buy this, like it was like a small 10-acre property, just bare land, and he wanted to start a goat business. You know what I'm talking about?
I've had deals like that. I've never had the goat business specific, but
put a fence around the property, and then you put a bunch of goats on there, and they chew up the land, and then you rent those goats out to property owners to keep your vegetation down, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, Teddy, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Listen, this is the property you want. Let's put it in the offer. And I mean, it was offered at such a low price, and like suspiciously low. You know what I mean? And I was like, why is this 10-acre property only $1,000 an acre? I don't care. We put in the offer, and then my buddy from the title company called me and was like, Matt, I've got some bad news for you. I was like, well, that's never a good way to start the day.
Right.
And he's like, so this is a once in a career problem, but this property falls under the Congressional Railroad Easement Act of 1860.
What?
I was like, exactly. I was like, what are you talking about, Noel? And he's like, yeah. So when they were building the railroad through here, they put an easement on a lot of land, and everybody forgot about it in the 1800s, and nobody talked about it since. And now the descendants from the original owners of that property can come back and be like, yeah, my great 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 granddaddy left me this property, and now it's mine. And then you're like in this whole title issue,
Right? Yeah.
And so he's like, no title company will
Issue the owner's
issue a policy. I was like, awesome. So, and you know, we were broke at the time. I needed the whatever commission that would have been, right? But it was prudent to like do the right thing. And so I called that client up, and I was like, Teddy, I cannot advise you to buy this property. And I explained to him the whole thing. He was like, I really appreciate you letting me know. I am going to go ahead and back out, and we'll look for something else. I think we found him something else somewhere else, you know?
Right.
But I mean, it was kind of tough to have to make that call and be like, yeah, don't buy it. You know, right. This is all bad. But, and then we had one that, so we have a lot of fire in California. I don't know if you've turned on the news in the last 10 minutes, but we have a lot of it. And we're in this deal, and it was a nightmare of an escrow. I mean, you know, it was supposed to be a 30-day escrow that turned into 5 months. And, you know, that the listing agent was just not checked in, not on board, and her clients were trying to contact me and all this. And it was just a nightmare the whole time. And then like, we were down to like 3 days before close of escrow. And I looked at Janelle and I was like, babe, I did it. I did it. I did it. Like, we're actually going to close this thing. And 3 days later, Berry Creek burned down. And so did the house that I was selling in Berry Creek.
Wow.
Yeah. And then there was a whole thing. The listing agent tried to come after the commission, like the EMD, to replace her commission. And so I had to turn her into her broker and talk to California Association of Realtors lawyers about it. And I was like, we got the EMD back for our clients and moved forward, but with something else. But it was like, that was crazy.
Right.
And that's kind of like going through those experiences made me think, man, maybe I should write a book. And so, you know, one day Steve was walking by my office and he was like, I want you to read Digital President. And we hadn't talked about me writing a book or doing anything. I didn't even like to read unless I got paid for it at the time. And I was like, Steve, are you like, did you get high before work today? Or like, have we met before? And he was like, Matt, stop it. You're going to read Digital President. I was like, is there like an ebook? He was like, nope.
Is there any pictures
for you? And so I was like, all right. And so I just ordered it. And then I was like, man, this book looks cool. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Like the graphics look cool. I was like, that's neat. And so I opened it up and I read the thing. And I'll be darned if it's not just a book about how to write a book and other things. But that's what really stood out to me. I was like, huh. So I went to the whiteboard and I scratched out a model of what chapters would look like. And all of a sudden, all this content started coming out, you know, Content Vault.
Right.
And 4 months later,
boom,
that hit Amazon. Now, you know, and the Library of Congress with a copyright. I was like, huh, I guess I'm good at this. And so I just needed to write down what to do in real estate.
Right.
You read the book, you do what it says in there. The only thing that'll keep you from success is yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And, you know, then I'd been writing, because Janelle likes to watch TV like a lot, right? Yeah. And so there's like an hour and a half every day where she's watching something that I'm like, this sucks. Yeah. I'm not into this show, right. You know? So I hop on my phone in the notes and I just start writing.
Right.
And then a year later came Overcoming the Plateau, right?
Right.
And right now I'm working on a like a workbook, a mindset workbook.
Yeah.
And that'll be done probably pretty soon. I mean, I don't picture it taking long, you know, but it's like this weirdest thing to me that it went from Steve being like, don't be lazy, read a book, to this is a fun thing that I do for a hobby.
Right.
Right. And people can go on Amazon and buy it. It's neat.
Yeah.
You know,
it's been I would say this has been a pretty good life-changing experience.
Yeah, exactly. This and I hadn't even, I mean, we knew about EXP, right?
Right.
We obviously didn't live underneath a rock or something.
Right.
But we didn't know anything about it. And all the information we had about it was negativity from people that didn't want us to join it.
Right.
And
like going to a Chevy dealership and asking them to tell you about the new Ford F-150.
Exactly. You know, but Steve was in my newsfeed all the time, and he was just dropping little nuggets of value and facts. And then all of a sudden you see him on the billboard while you're driving around, you hear him on the radio, and you're like failing and failing and failing. And you're like, huh, I know this guy on Facebook. I've seen him in town when we're grocery shopping and had a conversation with him because he just wanted to say hi, because who does that? You know what I mean? Just goes up to somebody at Winco and is like, hey, Matt, I see all your, you know, what you're posting. How are you doing? Nobody does that.
Right.
Steve McCarthy does.
Yeah.
You know, I do that kind of stuff now.
Yeah.
But I was like blown away at everything this guy was doing. I mean, had to contact him.
Yeah.
Had to fix something. Right.
Yep.
And then we come over to EXP and we find out, oh my gosh, this place is like awesome. But I'm a super nerd too, Jay. Like, so the world, sometimes I go in there and I just like kick the soccer balls and stuff at people.
Yeah.
And like, you know,
third grader and me too. I like to get boats.
Yeah, I'll go out to the ship and I'll climb on it.
Yeah.
And like, you know, now there's like a boat track that you can go on, which is super, super fun. If you're ever just like hecka busy in the middle of your day and you get frustrated, go through that little course and then you're like, all right,
right,
back on track. You know? I'm into that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, EXP, man, it changed my life completely.
Yeah.
You know, it gave me freedom to do literally whatever I want.
Right.
I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, we drop the kids off at the grandparents' house and fly to Texas and Vegas and do all kinds of crazy stuff. It seems like, you know, I wouldn't have even gone on an airplane before, you know, and now I'm like, yeah, let's go ride on an airplane for a few hours and go do something cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Love that.
Yeah. It's awesome.
That.
It's awesome. So, well, man, I really appreciate you coming on today.
Man,
is there anything else you want to cover?
I'm glad you shared that story with me too. That's good stuff.
Yeah. Anything else you want to cover today?
Yeah, man. All I would say is, man, if you're watching this and you feel like you've been where we've been, and you're in that place and you're stuck and you're not sure what the next move is, I would just pick up the phone and call Matt. And there might be a better way. There might be a better way.
Could be.
Yeah.
We found it.
Yeah.
Hey, stick around for a second if you don't mind.
Yeah, you got it.